Call the meeting, select board meeting to order. Please join us in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item is approval of the agenda.
So moved. I know you will.
Is there a second on approval of the agenda?
Yes, I'll second it.
Is there discussion?
I have none.
Have none? Bob? Mary Lee?
No.
All those in favor of approving the agenda indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Next item is approval of the minutes, 1/15/2023.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of January 16th, 2023. Second it.
Second. Discussion. Corrections.
Under approval of the agenda, ML Harris made a motion to add an executive session. I have to take out whatever I scribbled out there. And again, it says 1 to 3 pages, and I only have 2.
Your packet that you had from the last meeting had all 3 pages in it. Remember to bring up? Remember the minutes we decided to table to this meeting? Had all 3, the minutes you had at that point in time had all 3 pages in it.
Well, I don't know what was on that second page then.
Then, well, what'd you do with the packet you had from last meeting?
It's probably home.
This might have it, Mary Lee.
Well, I looked at them earlier
okay
today and I was happy.
Excuse me. All there is on page 3 is the motion to adjourn.
What she doesn't have, Allison, is page 2.
Oh, I thought she didn't have page 3.
Sure what she said, but I know what I have here with me and I had to refer to the last meeting's packet to find page 2.
I had read that last time.
With those papers.
Oh, God. I don't, it should be in here.
Well, we have 2 options, Mr. Chairman. We either approve it or we table it.
That is correct.
Don't table
Don't table it.
it. Don't table it.
You're okay?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I just.
I
keep
understand,
missing it.
sure. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the 16th of January indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. We now go to the 23rd. Is there a motion on the minutes of the 23rd of January?
Make a motion, we approve the minutes of January 23rd, 2023 as presented.
I'll second it.
Second. Discussion, corrections?
Just got one correction.
Okay.
A little one, if I can find it. Page 4.
Okay.
Roundabout down to the warning approval. Our Spalding stated he likes J. Mark's proposal to move Article 47 to Article 35 and the remaining articles renumbered accordingly. So that proposed number 47 is not with, and whatever that is, I crossed out the other appropriations. I think it says within.
So what's your correction, Mary Lee?
Is taking that one word out right there. I scribbled it out so much.
Within, right, as it say.
So it's not with the other, is that what you're saying?
You mind?
It should
Within.
be just with, not within.
Yeah, just take out the IN on it and the out the end of it.
And the other is just question. I can bring it up later.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with it.
All right. Bob?
Well, good.
Good. Dick?
Page 3, the 3rd paragraph down, Suckerbrook pump station backup for Rick Brontello. 2nd line down, change the word consecrate to compensate. So the sentence should read, Joe Mark made a motion to authorize the town manager to compensate Mr. Brontello, not consecrate.
We'll concentrate. Thank you.
Okay, that's all I got.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes 23rd indicate by saying aye with corrections.
Aye.
Aye. Citizens' concerns or comments, items not on the agenda. Yes, sir. Please identify yourself for the
Yeah,
record.
Patrick Keller, Angel Road. I just had a question whether that, Millstone, I guess it's called, the solar project, did that get state approval by the PUC, you know?
I don't know. Does anyone know?
I do not know.
Now, we got a letter stating that was in the process, but I don't know if we got approval. I don't recall seeing approval.
Okay. Any other folks? Yes.
We have especially.
We're having a meeting this week or next week?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah, just to get it. Okay. Are there people ice fishing on it? Because it's not safe.
Not yet.
I don't know.
Sure, the audio's cutting in and out. I didn't hear anything of who that was and what they said.
Would you repeat, please?
It's.
Mary Carnes.
Talking about there's water pool in front of the library where the path is between the curb and the walkway.
I'd ask that the DPW director go down with the highway ordinance to make sure that there's not something we can't get it drained out of there.
Go take a look at it.
Okay. Anything else? Any other citizens? Seeing none. Anyone on Zoom wishes to address the board? Silence is golden. Okay, now we go into something very controversial. Liquor license approval for Midway Oil, Tennybrook, and a tobacco license. Is there motion? They're both approved. Both of these have been approved by the police chief.
I'll make a
Care to make a
motion. I make a motion. We approve the second class liquor and tobacco license for Midway Oil doing business as Tennybrook Market.
Second.
Second, any discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Next one.
This is also a second class liquor license, if I read it correctly. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, make a motion. We approve the second class liquor license, a first and third class liquor license for Sodexo.
I'll second it for discussion.
Where is?
I had a hard time finding the address and all that.
Yeah, where?
It's on here
Yeah, I know. That's a business name. What is it? Where they're located?
at the college.
They do.
Oh, at the college? Okay.
They do the catering at the
Oh,
college.
okay, catering at the college. Thank you. And we have a second. Any police chief is also approved of this?
I just had one. Is there anybody here from Sodexo from the college?
The physical location is on page 2 at the top.
Yeah, it was tough to find, but it's there. I just want to ask my annual question is why do they have to have a liquor license at the college? Go ahead, Mike. Is there nobody here?
Take a stab at that, because they do cater the parties like at the president's annual party and stuff, and they serve alcohol and they have somebody with a liquor license that goes in there. Yeah, weddings.
Okay. That answer, Bob, for you? Okay, any other questions on this one? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Me, nay.
Nay. Bob votes nay. Grant agreement.
Sorry, can I interrupt you again?
You just did.
Allison has a question, I believe.
What's your question, Allison?
The last time that you had a liquor license, the tobacco was separate. You made a separate motion for the tobacco license.
Is that the way we gotta do it?
We combined them.
We combined them tonight.
Yeah, we did.
Is that okay?
Okay with me.
I think it was Beverage King. You did them separately.
Is it important, do you think?
I don't.
Nedra brought it up because she was online that night. She said that they were separate, but that was how the state did them now.
She did say that.
So the same company, it's the same location.
I know. Want to go back to it?
I don't see the need personally.
Me either.
No.
I say no.
I guess
So
it
the,
doesn't
so the
seem,
motion, so the motion includes the tobacco?
it does.
The motion I made instead of a second class license and a tobacco license for Midway Oil.
Okay,
Motion.
Okay. And we voted on the one for the college.
We did.
Okay, moving on to the grant agreement resolution involving the library.
I make a motion, we approve the grant agreement resolution for the single grantee form PM1 for the library.
Second it.
And second, any discussion?
Mary, can you touch on what this is all about? Or somebody from the library?
It is.
Yeah, it's a Vermont community development.
Thank
she
you.
needs to move closer. I didn't hear any of that.
Go ahead, Mary.
Sorry, Mary.
Can you hear me now, Elsa?
Yes, better.
It's for the Vermont Community Grant Development Grant for $100,000 for the accessibility project at the library.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Just a minute here.
You have the original?
Yeah, I gotta get it out here. There's a lot of them in here. Here we go.
That's the only one that requires our signature. I think.
Yep.
I'm gonna pass it down to the.
There we go.
Yep, got it.
Yep.
You got the liquor license too. We gotta sign those too. don't we?
I didn't see them in here. Mike, I don't see the liquor licenses in here.
The copies.
Can we use a copy?
Yeah, we're gonna have to, I guess. That's what choices. Yeah, they're online applications anyway, so there's not original.
That's the grant. We don't need that one. No. I'm trying to look and see if there's, the pages we normally sign are not here
Okay.
on this one. Nor are we on this one. Now, the state has changed the whole process now. Of
course.
So it's entirely possible that they don't need our signatures anymore.
I'm
Because
surprised
everything
they
is done
even ask us.
electronic. So I think that, Mr. Chairman, can you ask the town clerk tomorrow what, if anything, we need to do? Since
Of
you'll
course.
be in the office anyways.
Make a note of that, Mike. I'll be happy to do it.
I got a feeling that things that the process has been changed. We just don't know it.
Yeah, I don't see anything on here. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see anywhere there was a place to sign these signatures like the old ones.
Okay. Revised town plan. Liz Mackay.
Add some language that will help protect and different types of development that's been like a solar farm or wind or anything really. We want to protect different areas of the town to keep the character of our town intact and hopefully keep Castleton the way that our taxpayers want to do. That's what we're hoping to do. So we've had a hearing on it. About 2 years ago, actually, there was an energy plan that was starting to be developed, but that was a little too complicated. And about 6 months ago, it was, we were advised that we could just change our town plan. So other towns have done the same thing. It's not really, it's an amendment to our town plan. So that is what the planning commission has presented you guys with it was the town plan, and all the blue that you saw was the amendments that would help protect Castleton from future development in different ways. So we had a hearing by state statute. We had to have a public hearing, which we did have on August 23rd. And then the next step was for us to present it to you. And the select board now needs to adopt the updated town plan. So that's where we're at.
Any questions for Liz from the board?
Do you remember who showed up at that August meeting? Did you have?
I don't believe we may have had no one at our public hearing. I don't have that. We may have it somewhere in my notebook, but let's take it a little while.
It's okay. I was just curious.
Any other questions from the board?
Before we actually adopt this, I'd like a little more time to read it. I started and there's an awful lot of rules. And with all the other things that have been going on, I haven't really read it well. I don't know how anyone else sees it.
I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, that we wait until we have a full board
Oh,
to
definitely.
do this.
Yeah.
And Mr. Mark is not present. I will not be physically here next week or next meeting. I will be attending via Zoom. But I will be prepared to discuss it.
When would you like a decision on this, Liz?
Well, as soon as we actually were unaware that it had to be approved by the select board, so as soon as possible, because anything that comes in prior to us making these amendments to the town plan will fall under our old town plan, so it could in the long run hurt the town.
The next meeting is the 27th. Would that be adequate?
And if you have questions, you could send me an email with questions, and then I can answer them prior to the meeting.
Fine. Any other questions? Yes,
Is this a
Mary,
document that the public
Mary
can
Drozy,
see?
right?
Mary Drogy. Is this a document the public can see?
Yeah.
Is it on the town website?
I don't think it's posted out there. They might be in the meeting minutes from your planning commission meeting when they were for the public meeting, but I don't know if they're posted elsewhere, but I'll have to make a note to check on that.
Thank you.
I can say that the revised version would not be available on the town website for sure. But it's possible that the original town plan is. I really don't know.
No, that is out there.
Not with the proposed changes until after they're approved.
So the public doesn't get to see them. Until
You're welcome to, but I don't believe they're posted on the website.
Were they presented at the public meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
I sent an email.
any other questions? Yes, sir. One of you two gentlemen, whoever wants to be first.
Just a cautionary note on plans, because that was on the board. Planning board publishing. Act 250 is being revised, which would have.
Excuse me, Allison, can you hear the speaker?
Just barely. They're all gonna have to move closer to the microphone.
I'll just speak louder. Act 250 is being revised by the state of Vermont, which has a great with controlling what is possible and what is not possible. It's just a cautionary note to keep track of that, how it will affect your town plan.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi, Keller, Sandra. So I guess this is a question for Liz. Reading through this, actually I have a copy. I was confused about the gateway zone and how it's defined.
So I wasn't sure, I clearly understood that you have the two exits off of 4 and within a mile, if that's included in the zone. But the way I read it, it seemed to say that any of your interests is on the town, either 4, 4A or 30 on the boundaries, whether it's Ira or Pulteney or Fairhaven, that they're within a mile of those borders is included in the zone. Is that correct or am I not interpreting?
What, which,
I read it, and it's in my head.
perhaps I'll have you write your question down and I will.
It's just, if you know what's included in that zone, and what I would recommend for the planning commission to do also is to create, we have maps of the zoning districts and to overlay on top of that where this zone is. I think that would really clarify what we're talking about. So that would be my question. Okay.
I believe your copies did include maps that I gave you, the paper copies.
Yes, they
For
did.
some reason, I believe the one that I have right here doesn't have the maps.
Allison, were you able to hear the previous speaker?
Just barely.
Just barely. Barely's good enough. Okay. Any other questions for Liz on the update? Seeing none, we'll move on to the annual financial plan. Dave, you're up
That'd
again.
be me. So what you have in front of you is, I believe you were presented with this also last year, hasn't changed significantly. So if you look at the top part, that is basically the income that we have. It's taxes and it's also a little bit from the state. The amount that the state is giving us this year has maybe gone up $3,000 or $4,000. It hasn't gone up significantly at all. So down at the bottom, what we have is the estimated cost of what it's going to cost for winter maintenance, which is $564,075.20, and non-winter maintenance, $376,116.80. And then we have reclaim repaid, $170,000, and sidewalks and bridges, $55,000 for this year. Hasn't changed much from last year. Question, Mike?
Just to preface, this is for the highway department for the for grants. This is required. It truly is this abstract math that they do, and so we typically have to call District 3 every year and have them walk us through it, which they
Yeah, I had to walk through with Brian Sanderson. It was about a 2-hour conversation. Plus, I'm driving over there again tomorrow at 7 in the morning to talk with them again.
But it's a requirement. They look at what our budget is. That's the bottom part. Show if you look at the total highway budget, most of those whatever categories down there are going to equal the majority of our budget.
Yeah.
Of the highway budget, and then the top part is the math.
That's
I'm not going to profess to try.
their math. So bottom line is I pulled the bottom part right out of our budget.
Any other questions for Dave? We have to approve it, Dave?
You have to sign it.
Have to sign
Should
it.
be in your blue packet, I
Yeah,
believe.
okay.
And I may be coming back with you some more stuff in regards to this, but this is one part of the packet.
We're ready for a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Sure, go ahead.
I make a motion that we approve the annual financial plan for town highways for the town of Castleton fiscal year 2024, beginning July 1, 2023, ending June 30th, 2023.
I'll second it.
Had a second. Any discussion? Questions for Dave?
Well, I have one.
Oh,
And it's probably a moot point, but the sidewalk and bridge, that 55K is the contribution to the reserve accounts.
Yes.
And won't necessarily reflect what we actually have to spend if we build the project.
that's my understanding.
Okay,
That's the amount that goes in the annual budget each
Yeah.
year.
so that has nothing to do with what we actually spend if we build that sidewalk project this year. Hopefully we will.
Would that be nice? Any other questions?
Anything else for Dave?
Okay.
Gotta call the question, boss.
Call the question. First, is there a motion to accept the report as Dave presented?
I already did that.
Then we got a second?
I'll second it. No, Mary Lee.
No, Mary
seconded.
Lee
Mary Lee
Mary Lee
second.
seconded.
Any
Sorry.
other
Stepping
discussion?
on your toes.
If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
I
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
You all have a good night.
Thanks, Dave.
Wait a minute, don't go away yet. We're into overhead doors.
Oh,
Yeah, you need to stay for that.
forgot about that.
That might be all Mike, but you.
Yeah, I can, I'll just take it.
No, I can stick around for that. I have a vested interest.
Okay, overhead doors at the highway garage. Mike?
This quote you have, if you see on the front, it's dated, it's valid until March 3rd. The one that you were presented last time was only valid through the 4th of February. So normally the board won't act on anything if the quote's not valid, Robert. So I made sure that this read a later date in this meeting. And if you notice from between the two, the price is different than the new one's different than the old one by about $2,000. Because when I brought this to the board the first time, I was looking at replacing 8 doors and 8 motors, or 8, they call them operators. And I was brought to my attention by overhead door that one door was replaced in 2014 and does not need to be replaced in our current replacement plan. It's good for quite a while. And there's no telling exactly how long, but more than probably the next year or so. So this is for they sent me another quote for replacing 7 doors and 8 motors. And the motors, that includes the remotes. I'd asked you, and I look at the minutes from minutes you have on your packets from the 23rd of January. Going for the budget, I gotta find it again. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. I was just tricking you. It's the minutes from the 16th of January, and it's on the first page. It talks about money, spending money from the ARPA funds. I brought forth to the board with the budget for that $143,200. Those doors, half of those doors were figured into that. So this new quote reflects 4 doors and 4 actuators. And what I told the board at the last meeting was that would give me an opportunity to build in the replacement of 4 more doors, which I now is now 3 doors, because we don't need to replace the all 8 of them. That I have to build that into the budget over the next 2 fiscal years. That's what I presented to the board. What's not reflected in the minutes is that language. So it talks about after the underlined section. So Arcom stated at the last meeting, J. Mark had proposed the ARPA funds be included in the budget approval motion, and it was just excluded. What we're missing for minutes to move forward on this is your approval of the use of those out of that $143,200 of ARPA funds is this amount, $25,420, which is reflective of 4 overhead doors and 4 operators.
So the 2 quotes I have in front of me, one is for 7 doors and 8 operators, and the other is for 4 doors and 4 operators. You're looking at the 4 door.
Correct.
You do not want to do the 7 doors.
No, because that was the full like $46,000. And what I presented to the board was, hey, if you could give us half of that, I'll build it into the next 2 years' budgets to replace the other 4 doors. So the good news is I don't have to replace 4 doors over the next 2 years. I have to replace 3, but I need 4 operators because when they put the new door up, they use the old operator, and they can't work on them anymore.
So what's the total amount?
$25,420 to overhead door for 4 doors and 4 operators coming out of ARPA funds.
That's the total?
Yep.
25?
That's for
4 doors?
For 4 doors and 4 operators.
Any other questions?
That's a turnkey thing. They're gonna do the whole job.
They do the whole thing. They take the old stuff away, they put the new stuff up, and we don't have to touch it.
What kind of warranties is come with?
I think it was on the thing, I forgot.
Did I see
It
it?
was on there, I believe, somewhere. Or maybe it was an email deck now.
I didn't see one, but I didn't.
It was on there. There was a warranty with it. The doors were different than the operators, I believe, if I remember correctly. I apologize, I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
all
an
right.
email.
I'm assuming it's gonna be industry normal, whatever that is.
Any other questions for Mike? Mike, sometime you're gonna give us an update on how much we're chipping away on the ARPA funds?
Yeah, at the budget, the stuff I handed out at the budget is that is the update, but if you want something at the next meeting, I can certainly. So we'd spent $136,000 out of ARPA. It was like 30 for the employee stuff, almost 6,000 for this audio visual stuff, and then 100,000 for the library.
That sounds right to me.
Okay.
My recollection.
Need a motion on that, don't you?
Yes, please. And then you have to sign, there's a place to sign on your
I
packet.
got it. Is there a motion? 4 doors, 4 operators.
I'll make the motion that we approve
Cut the cost.
That door company.
I'll second.
And a second.
Should it be in the motion that that's coming out of ARPA funds?
Yes, should be. Yep. Want to add that to your motion, Mary Lee?
say that all again, or can I just say?
Yeah, just add the. Yeah. from the ARPA.
Just amend your motion.
It should be paid out of our.
I'll still second it.
Until second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. 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 Motion passes.
You were gonna, your staff is gonna pick out what 4 doors they want to fix.
Yeah, the west side is what I told them, unless though, that one door that was replaced in 2014 is on the west side. Because we're painting that building, we're doing everything over, and the last thing I want to do is have the oldest, dingiest looking doors on that side.
Just assume you guys are gonna pick out the 4 worst ones, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
When is this work being done? Like,
Once I sign it, there, once weather, we'll have to get on their list, but obviously when the weather provides that opportunity, I guess. Before June 30th.
Okay, anything else on this? If not, move on to update on the heating system at the former Castleton Village School. Mike?
The board, I believe, everyone's aware of what was going on during that cold weather that we had. And we had some malfunctions on the furnace. We had a pipe rupture. We have a blower motor that was bad that needs to be replaced. And we did spend some money. I didn't seek town authorization from the select board on like an emergency thing because we had to get it done. Or more pipes burst in the building. So I had a plumber look at it. There is and I shared with you an email that I had between the superintendent and Chris Cole about when I wanted records on when the stuff was last serviced and stuff like that, who they used, because there was certainly deferred maintenance that was not disclosed at that point on those coils. They're clogged, and so we're losing about 40% efficiency on the heating system, and the blower motor obviously that could have went at any time. But there was also water leaking in the boiler room from the circulator pumps, and typically they were rebuilt in 2017. So typically when the seals start wearing out, when it got cold and the boiler wasn't heating up the water anymore, those shrunk. And then it started leaking. The furnace was fixed. Again, got it working again. The heat started coming back up in the building, then it failed again. And as of this morning, Bo had reported to me that it was blowing cold air and there was a smell in the building that was not pleasant. And so I don't know what that is yet, but I asked Paul McClure to go look at it. And I haven't heard back yet what he found. But it's certainly, there's certainly some maintenance to do on that heating system down there because it was struggling to keep the place at 40 degrees. And that was through an IR thermometer. So the thing was working all it could do, just keep the place at 40 degrees. And so I've asked that Mark Cassidy or actually Chris Cole offered up that Mark Cassidy would contact Bo. I gave Mark your number to go down there I said, what was the secret? How did you keep this place warm with students in the building? I don't think it was 40 degrees in there in the wintertime. So that's just something I want to find. Maybe we're doing something wrong as far as how we're turning things on and off in the building, but that has nothing to do with the boiler quitting a few times and blowers not working and pipes freezing. And
The thermostats weren't working in there. It was kind of falling apart.
Define not working, Dave.
The actual lever that you raise and lower the temperature, whatever spring attachment it is in there wasn't even connected.
Okay.
I think that might have been the auto and manual lever on the side. I've noticed that those don't seem to work, but when we did get the power back on and everything over that one weekend, the dials did work after that. So that's
Did you get that? That was Bo responding, Allison?
No, I didn't hear all of what they said.
sorry. I was just adding a detail after it was fixed that weekend that we had the extreme cold, and then when we were able to get the heat back going, the thermostats did respond after that, but they hadn't been responding. Or
Yep.
rather, had been responding, only a few of them had been responding in the building. For example, I fortunately chose my office, which had a response.
Anything else on the heating system?
No, not the heating system, but on the building. One of the things I noticed, and I brought it up to Paul to look at, was noticing on the roof over the newer part of the building, that when everything else had snow, there's no snow there. So that's usually indicative of no insulation or not a lot of insulation. So I wanted to make sure that that area was insulated. And I think that the answer I'm going to get is that it's not properly insulated. According to somebody else, I'm not going to disclose who.
Yes, Bo?
Just one more detail. I was also at CVS tonight and I couldn't smell the smell anymore. So it was there in the morning and I left, but it's better now.
Okay. Anything else, Mike, on this?
No, Penny, your questions? No, I don't.
I have
Okay.
one.
Dick?
Probably a question that Mike will have to pass on. Are those heating coils that are poorly maintained or clogged, are they cleanable or do they need to be replaced? And I realize you won't have an answer for that now.
Well, I think I do have an answer, according to Stockman Paul McClure about it, and it's a maintenance issue. It's like cleaning of the dust and everything, clogging it up, and air's not exchanged well, and so it's just more of a cleaning issue. So that's why I said it when we were told there was no deferred maintenance. I would argue that would be deferred if it hasn't been cleaned in looks like a long time.
Those should be cleaned out every year.
Anything else on the heating system? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Pat Keller, Sandra Lowe. Yeah, Mike, is there zones in this heating system? Do you have multiple zones?
It appeared there's two pumps. There's two circulator pumps. I'm not sure how they're zoned, Pat, but there's each room has its own thermostat for pretty much. But I don't know if so. Each room it gets controlled, so it's not like a zone. You turn on zone A and it heats all this side of the building, and zone B heats this side of the building. But there are two circulator pumps to keep that amount of volume of water moving. But I don't believe that there are zones.
Like two zones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it could be.
Can I throw something in there? Typically what'll happen on these big systems is the circulator pumps will run all the time and they'll run hot, warm water through the trunk lines. And then as each individual room or area requires heat, the thermostat will call for heat and it'll open a zone control valve. And then that valve will heat that room until the thermostat no longer calls for heat. But the main circulator pumps, as long as the building, either the system is energized or any one circulator is calling for heat, those main circulator pumps will run. Typically, they run all the time in the winter. It's just like the newer boilers are always hot in the winter, whether the thermostats are calling for heat or not.
Anything else on this? If not, we'll move on. You have anything else on that, Mike?
I do not.
Okay. Discussion about farmers, CVS and upcoming vote in March. Board have any comments, questions?
I have a comment.
Okay, Mary Lee?
I think that we should seriously consider if the town proves that they want to have this recreation department for 3 years or whatever, that we should systematically work together and try to make it self-sustaining and give them the 3 years they need to prove that it would be good for the whole community.
Anyone else who has a comment or wishes to address the board?
Hi, it's Bo.
Yes, Bo.
I apologize, my voice right now. I don't know if I'm getting a little nerves, laryngitis, or if it's
That's okay.
testosterone. So my voice might kind of cut out, but bear with me. As you all know, I just joined the team here recently. In the last few months, I've been trying to be a real good learner, taking as much information as I can, learn about, where the town's been before I came here. Because as you know, you might know I live in North Clarendon. So I'm not as familiar with the history and all. And I feel like I have gotten a lot of great information from all of you. You guys have pieced together, the past for me, as well as folks in the community. And I feel quite an eagerness to start doing the director of Parks and Rec bit. And so I would definitely echo what you just said, Mary Lee, in that for me to feel really successful and empowered in my role, I would feel wonderful to move forward on some kind of in-step motion together with the select board and town management leadership. That way I can feel like when I'm having conversations with the town or when I'm considering their feedback, I know that it will be backed by leadership as well, or we can work together on it at least. So with that said, I learned that maybe one thing that I am allowed to do in conversation with the select board is to ask everyone who's present, at least individually, a question and hear their response. And the purpose of this is really just for my own clarity and to just make sure that my own clarity, but hopefully clarity for everyone who reads the minutes and is interested in this as well. Just to see that we are, at least throwing out transparency of where we stand. And then hopefully, like you were saying, Mary Lee Harris, no matter what the vote is, work together with a good effort behind it so that I don't find myself a year from now in a very similar position without a lot of movement, because there are so many options available to us, which is a really great thing. And I appreciate as well hearing everyone consider all of the options that have been brought to the table. I'm just ready to start closing some of the doors so that we can take a direction forward. So my question then would be, would you honor the results of the election or of the vote here? And if the results are in favor, would you remove the former Castleton Village School from the market so that the rec department can plan and execute a strategy for a revenue generating business model for the rec department?
That's your question, huh, Bo?
This is my question. You can popcorn though. I'm not going to call
That's
it
okay. You want an answer?
I would like that. Yeah.
We can't do that.
You can't do what?
We can't do what you are asking because the building is owned jointly by the town of Hubbardton and the town of Castleton. And the motion to sell the building, I believe, was voted on unanimously by both boards. Therefore, any change in that would have to come from both boards because both boards still own the building.
Excellent. I think that's That's a great answer, and I don't see that as an opposing answer either.
Telling me that's a great answer, huh?
Yeah, it seems to me like that's
Okay.
still, we're still working with something there, because, I appreciate hearing that you would consider it. And I understand that this decision, it wasn't my understanding, and I might be incorrect, but it was my understanding that to put the building on the market was an ad hoc committee decision. I might be wrong about that.
Can I
Okay.
speak now, Mr. Chairman?
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
if anyone has
Dick.
details.
Dick will answer that.
First off, I want to clarify something, that the motion with the joint boards to sell the building was not unanimous. There was one no vote.
I thought that vote was changed. That was your vote.
I never changed my vote. Why would I change my vote?
I don't know. Sometimes people do. Sometimes people said I vote yes before I voted no. That happens in
never-
Congress.
I never changed my vote.
Okay. So it was
Um,
8-1.
Yeah, there was 4 members from Hubbardton present and 5 from Castleton, if I recall correctly.
That is correct.
And there
That
was
sounds to
eight
me-
that voted in favor of selling the building, 1 that voted against. At that point, the person who voted against thought that it was premature to make that decision and still feels that way. I'm looking forward to the vote this coming March to find out what the voters and taxpayers think about this, because if they vote to fund the building, that's gonna make it a lot easier to move forward. If they vote to not fund the building, then that provides clarity for what we need to do. In either case, I don't think this is an opportunity for the rec department that should be squandered. If the voters want to support that building, then I'm going to be totally behind that. As I said before, I've never made a secret of that. If they do not want to fund the building, then we need to sell the building for a reasonable price. I think, the closer we can get to fair market value, the better. But then that money, in my opinion, should be used as seed money to fund a rec complex of some sort. And that's really all I have to say about it, because at this point in time, we have more questions than we have answers. I'm just giving you my opinion.
Thank you. And I actually really appreciate the approach that you took to answering my question, because that's the nature that I asked it. I don't expect a decision to be made right now on behalf of anyone from Castleton and Hubbardton officially. I'm more asking for an individual response, because it's always possible that that body could be brought back together for another conversation. And so I guess if we could maybe try to answer the question in the style that Dick just did, I would be curious about that.
Just bear in mind, I'm only 10% of the 2 combined boards.
Sure.
Could I clarify something?
Sir,
You and other members here? And that is that the motion was made and voted on 8-1 to sell the building, but to provide adequate space for the recreation department. There is no one on this board that is, in February, we can say, throwing the rec department out into the snow. And if that is not the answer, then it is the responsibility of this board to provide adequate space for the rec department.
I have follow-up questions to that, to pull that thread, but I worry that it would kind of distract the conversation. The biggest gap I see in that option, which is an option, is that in the meantime, let's say let's like dream big right now. Let's say someone came in December and gave us a wow offer. We have no idea where it came from. You kept the door open to still consider those offers. And in that case, what would have happened is the building would have been sold out from under us. And just as I started my job, I would have had to cancel youth basketball.
You wouldn't have to cancel youth basketball
If you
because
would-
the intent of the motion was to provide adequate space and a lease for the recreation department for adequate space in the building. If someone comes along and makes that offer, then it would have to be considered. But if no one does, it's still under the ownership of Hubbardton and Castleton, and we both share the expense in it. 89% for Castleton and 11% for Hubbardton.
I do appreciate the intent to keep that gym space for us, because at the very minimum, a gym space is required for a rec program. It's kind of hard to think about growing a program without that. So I appreciate that. I also have sat in on some of these select board meetings where the scenario where a great offer without a lease back, I have heard it said that that option would be considered as well, even if it's not gonna lease back to rent, to rec, if their price is good enough. So that still, just the fact of it on the market leaves us incredibly vulnerable, and we're not really able to push forward.
I gave you what the motion was. You have to provide adequate space. And we asked for a lease. If the two boards were considering, another facility, as Dick is suggesting, which is out there, then they'd have to provide a short-term lease so that you would not, the rec department would not be left out in the cold.
Could we define short term?
Pardon?
Could we define short term?
Depends upon what the offer is until if another facility becomes available.
So it could be years, for example.
Pardon?
Could it be years?
The way things move in a democracy, they move very slowly.
Yeah, I would imagine.
But I would hope that if that happens, it would move on as rapidly as possible.
I would hope so too, as
I understand.
the director, I would hope so too. So I guess I'll accept that answer. Thank you, Jim, for your individual answer. I still do recall the option being left on the table, and if it was informal, then and not official in any nature, then I guess I'm relieved by that. But the fact that it has been discussed, I don't want to run over that. I don't want to dismiss that either. Maybe there's some other folks here who also remembered that conversation, but maybe not. But anyway, I'm glad to accept that as your response. Thank you, Jim.
Well, I'd like to speak to that.
Yeah.
My job, I feel my job is to be fiscally responsible to the taxpayers.
Mhm.
And what I heard from the rec and a few others, that you wanted us to keep the building for 3 years. My problem with that is, where are we gonna come up with $300,000? Because you know it, that's what it's gonna be. You estimated it was gonna be $90,000 a year, Mike. I think you're finding out in the last month or so, it's gonna be higher than that. That's the problem that I had. You're asking me to make a decision to keep that building for 3 years. And I've asked and asked and asked, where are we coming up with the $300,000 or the $270,000, which has been proposed that's going to cost is going to be higher than that. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. That's not being fiscally responsible to the taxpayer.
Sure. And I do think that this is just looking at other rec models of neighboring towns, you can have a profitable, you can have a revenue generating rec model, and it's not out of reach. I think what we're looking at is a long-term plan, unfortunately, because the building has been maybe a little bit hasn't gotten the care it needed. There's a little bit of TLC that's needed. So understanding that that's going to happen over a course of a period of time, probably years even, but knowing that what we're building behind it is a revenue generating model that will see the other side of those expenses. And in the meantime, we're able to grow the economic value of our community right there in the downtown. And I do see that as a not only a win, but avoiding a major loss, because outsourcing rec to other towns is such a shame. And it's like the feedback I'm getting just about Rutland County Little League is it's heartening. And I would love be resourced and bring people back. And we're so close to that. I feel like it's within reach, even if reach is 5 years. But that's for a really high bird's eye view of what I would call fiscal responsibility. But I hear what you're saying, that it's going to be a lot of costs up front.
Mary Lee?
I wasn't done, but go ahead.
No, you're not.
No, go ahead. No, let her go.
You sure, Bob?
Well, I'll come back. You come back to me.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Either way.
I'm feeling that with this vote, it's going to give us a feel of what the town wants. And if the town wants to spend the money, we gotta find the money. And so for physical responsibility, yes, I agree with you. But if the town wants it and the town's willing to pay for it, then we have to help them.
That's why it's on the ballot, Mary Lee.
That's
Right.
fine. When
That's
they
the
came and
purpose of
asked,
having it on the ballot.
when they came and asked us to keep it for the 3 years, it wasn't even talked about being on the ballot. You weren't even gonna ask the taxpayers. You were just gonna do it. And that's the problem that I have with it. The other thing, are you done? I want to ask one more thing.
You
Go ahead,
okay
Bill.
over there?
Go ahead, Bill.
I would actually like to chime in on that too, because that's kind of the ethos behind why we're meeting today, is the idea of how can we mirror what the people are asking for. And so I know all of this is like, yeah, everyone knows, like, that's the purpose of putting it on the ballot, but I would like to echo the fact that whatever they say, yes or no, it is my job to support that full force. So I'm expecting a yes vote because I've been sitting in the water for a few months now, and I'm getting that feel from folks. But if it's no, then it's also my job to continue making this work. I just have a harder job.
No, you do realize that there isn't any money in the budget this year.
Yep.
And so the proposal that is on the ballot is for 1 year
Mhm.
with a very conservative estimate as to cost that was drawn up by Mike. So you do realize it's not 3 years, it's 1 year.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
All right, because we can only do that for 1 year.
sure.
Any other comments?
Or
Bob, you
actually-
coming back again?
I'm coming back again. You want to go first, Bill? or-
Sorry, I actually wanted
Sure.
to ask about that, because I might be misunderstanding as well, but if we do include rec more formally in the budget, or sorry, CVS as a government building rather than the way it got kind of sidebarred. I'm new to the budget, I don't know the lingo, but if it were included in the budget for the following year, would we be able to ask for this conversation to be revisited for a longer amount of time, for example, 3 years?
It's up to the board.
Okay,
Sure.
ongoing
Up
conversation.
to the board. I believe we can only budget though for 1 year. I think we can budget for 1 year. Is that correct?
I think so.
My understanding of state statute is we can only budget out 1 year. We can have a long-term financial plan. But we have to, every year, we can't spend a dime without getting permission from the voters.
Makes sense.
So every year we have to ask for permission from the voters to spend the money for whatever's in the budget for the next fiscal year, which is June or July 1 to June 30.
Well,
Right.
do you have a copy of the assessment that was done by the professional company
Yes.
as to the problems of deferred maintenance, a new roof and
I don't think
on
I've
and on
received
it
this
goes?
document. I have a one about fire and alarms.
oh, okay. Mike, could we make that available for Bull and the Recreation Commission?
That would be great information to work with. Thank
Sure.
you. Sorry, Bob, I cut you off.
No, that's fine. There was an offer made a while ago, and I got outvoted 3-2 or 4-1. No way, no how is this board going to accept that offer. I think we missed the golden opportunity there. I think we could have worked with the person that made the offer to include the rec in that building. That's my feelings. And I said, when it got voted down, I said, boys, you're making a mistake here. I think you're making a mistake. You know, you're looking for the golden egg when you can get a third of the golden egg down here. Whether that comes back and haunts us or no, I don't know. Right now it's haunting us.
Yeah.
It's haunting me.
I also feel haunted. And I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how. Sorry, that was a light joke. But
That's fine.
but it's because I feel the wondering of will a better offer come? I wonder if that's gonna lead to paralysis, decision-making paralysis. Because we can sure hope, especially because you experienced a taste of it, we can sure hope that it comes back. I just would love to start making any decision. But I guess
We would too, Bull.
heard.
Yes, ma'am.
Diane Grace Spangenberg from Hubbardton. And I was wondering, is there a possibility of getting both boards together again so that we can all see what both boards feel? Because personally, what I've heard is that, because Hubbardton wants to get out, as you know, they've been offered 3 different figures, 3 different times to be bought out. And I've actually had a board member call me and ask me not to get names for our what are you looking for? Petition, with our petition, because it was a deal that was probably going to go through.
What deal was going through?
Is you buying out Hubbard, because Hubbard.
There's no agreement. There's no agreement.
You made 3 different offers to them, is that true?
I don't think we can go any further because it might be a possibility of litigation,
Okay,
and it's not on our part.
okay, so, but we can get the 2 boards together, so.
That will happen. Yeah, that will happen.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Mr. Spalding, yes, you can.
So did I understand that you're not having the ballot item that Castleton
Oh,
has?
no, we are now, we are.
And do
We
you,
got the signatures that we needed.
do you know what it says?
Yeah.
What is being voted on in Hubbardton? Do you know what it says?
I believe
I
it's the
didn't
same
know.
wording with a
Yes,
different
yes.
amount.
A different amount?
Yeah, the
Right.
amount that,
And actually, they upped the amount.
the total amount and then our percentage of Hubbard.
And what's the wording? You can paraphrase it if you wish.
Well, I didn't bring my, so I don't.
Does anybody-
Send it to me.
Yeah, we have the wording of ours.
Well, we-
So I guess the wording is pretty similar. It's just
Yeah, I
that
can get
it's
it to you.
for the 11% amount.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
So to
And it's
own and operate.
14 and 15, not article. 14.
Oh,
it's
right,
14
and there's a
15.
different
So
article
There's 2
number.
different, yeah.
By the way, folks, we don't have that money either. So it would have to come from somewhere. If Castleton was to buy Hubbardton out.
Well, how much money is it for each taxpayer? Is there a way? to
Well, we
identify
don't
that?
want to really get into that. I mean,
I think it's important to get into it. So if it's.
what, how much each taxpayer?
Not each
What is the
individual
range?
taxpayer, but an amount per value assessment at some kind of range. I think it would paint a picture for people to know how much they would.
That could be brought up at the informational meeting under, the informational meeting gonna be public or is it gonna be Zoom or what, Mike?
Both.
Both? Okay. Certainly that's a question that could be, and would get that answer for you for that.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I got one more thing.
Okay, Bob.
Really quickly, and this is probably pie in the sky, and I probably shouldn't even ask this question. What happens if one town votes yes and the other town votes no? We're handicapped again. We're handcuffed again.
I would like at least to try.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're gonna try it because it's on the
Yeah.
ballot, but I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to be the king negative Nelly in the room, but I'm just, so many different scenarios that we got 4 or 5 bridges to cross.
You're so right about that. I mapped it out because I was getting lost. So I had to say, this is one option and these are the consequences. If, then. It's madness. So we do, yeah, I appreciate this conversation quite a bit because we got to get on some kind of same page and figure it out.
Thank you both.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Mary
Mary Droege.
Drozy, Allison.
Mary Droege, Personal Road on the Rec Commission. Thank you, Bo. That was fabulous. I think that represented beautifully what we've been talking about on the Rec Commission as clarity that we're seeking. And so maybe an easier question to answer at this point is if it's a yes vote on Article 36 of Castleton. Is there a will soon after that to get both boards together to discuss whether they want to take the building off the market or not?
Sure. No problem.
I'm certainly willing to have that.
Anybody have a
conversation.
problem with
Looking
getting,
forward to
any board members have a problem with that?
it. I do not. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, and I think just to piggyback a little bit on Bo's comments is that we really feel strongly that there's such potential for revenue generating activities in there. But we're hobbled in seeing that full potential because the building's on the market. So I just want to leave it at that. That's sort of clarity and path forward that we're seeking and asking for that. Thank you.
Okay. Mike,
Do you have anything about it?
No, I'm done.
you
That's
sure?
enough.
Are you sure, Bob?
That's enough.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, one of the things I want to draw your attention to is page 51 of the town plan, and it talks about rec. And there's some policy in there. It says, number 1 says, pursue opportunities for funding the development of new recreational opportunities, facilities, and activities. That's one of them. The other one is promote the creation of a recreational complex or center. So it's already in the town plan. what that looks like, I don't know yet. But I keep hearing about the village school, but we haven't really explored anything yet about what are the other opportunities. I wasn't here when the town office was moved and the fire station was moved, and it was very controversial and divided the town. And I'd hate to see that be the same here, but I think this is there's only one thing being talked about right now. And I know it's the thing that's on the ballot, so it's kind of in our face, but I did reach out to Hubbardton, and I asked them about future meetings and getting together after this vote. So
Okay.
kind of laid those down, but I've heard nothing back. I haven't heard back anything on the invoices that we sent them for their share of the maintenance so far either. So it's kind of been radio listening silence so far. But I would hope that that there's a civil conversation that happens after this vote on a way forward, whether it's to keep the building or not. I did share with the board, and I'll share it with the public. One of the tire kickers looking at the building came back and said they would be willing to give the town a lease for rec in the building. So that's the best news I've heard so far. That because they're the only one so far. Because Tirsa in her last things that she wouldn't, she talked about afterwards. So that wasn't a given, I guess. But this one person or father and son group have said that they would consider, certainly if they were to buy it, to consider the lease for rec. And we had a long philosophical, theoretical conversation about what that would look like. But what I want to present is someone said, I'm interested and I would give this spot for rec. So I'm not prepared to answer any deep questions on
it.
Okay, Pat. Well, you, I don't want to shut you off. Bo, go ahead. You want to go first? You've been very quiet tonight, Bo, so.
I know, I'm just crickets back here.
Okay.
On the confusion about the ownership or the future ownership, what it's doing in terms of potential for grants. I mean, you know, USDA has a $50,000 grant. It is ideal for a community center like this. So can you even apply for it if you don't know the ownership of the building after, you know, a year or 2 years or 3 years? So you're losing out on grant potential that helps you prepare the facility by having this confusion. So the sooner the confusion is settled, the better off things are going to be here.
And I just, there's also a USDA grant out there for
Sure.
the building of a new facility too. So I looked that up too. So there's multiple things on there's multiple prongs on this attack. And just, I want to shut the door to anything.
Okay, folks. You got your last shot,
The
Bo.
last little question.
Go ahead.
Just a detail. It's not a deep question. Was that a new conversation that happened, or was that the same conversation that you had told me about earlier? I'm just wondering if there's.
About this was for housing.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So was that the same conversation? Because I think you told me about that, that possibility that they were interested and that they imagined that there's a possibility of leasing back. But I think I remember you telling me that maybe a few weeks ago. Was there another conversation after that I'm okay? I just wanted to check if anything had developed.
No, just the tires got kicked and that's about it right now.
Yes, sir.
Ted Molnar, Park Hill Road. I've heard that the Boys and Girls Club is interested in leasing part of this building. Is that something in the equation here that we're talking about?
The last official word we had.
Because I've heard it several times, and that could make a big difference.
Yeah.
Once it's settled who owns the building. And that could answer the question about actually a cash flow that would help out a lot.
The last official word that the select board town manager heard was that the Boys and Girls Club were not interested in paying any rent. That was the last we heard.
I heard that.
Well, you may
From
don't,
the Boys and Girls Club, one of the Boys and Girls Club managers.
then if the Boys and Girls Club is interested, they should be contacting the town manager. And the manager will pass on any information to the board. Okay,
One more question.
sure.
Can we use ARPA funds to keep up this building until we decide on the situation?
I'll comment to that.
Go ahead, Bob.
We weren't officially notified that we could do that, but we were advised by a previous lawyer. It's not what the ARPA funds are for. It's not a classification that falls under the ARPA funds.
So I don't know the legality of the ARPA fund. but
Well, I don't either. I'm just telling you what was told by a lawyer that spoke to us, that that's not what the ARPA funds are for, unfortunately.
Want me to address that?
Uh,
I know you, but just because early on, when they had this, the kind of strict uses, limited uses, since then, the board can use it for anything that would be a normal provision of government services. So pretty much almost anything except for paying off retirement funds or padding those, those kind of things.
So what I just said was not bogus.
Yeah, so now it's pretty, you can cast a wide net, I guess.
Okay.
This would not fall into those categories of retirement deficit or of reserve funds.
Can I throw a little clarity in there, Bob? If
Sure.
I help you?
Sure.
Originally, when ARPA was signed off on by the president, it was intended for use for sewer, water, and broadband or internet, pretty much, period. And then the states like Vermont and Iowa and Montana, their congressional delegations got involved because giving money to Hubbardton or Benson for sewer, water, and internet really doesn't do them any good because they don't have a public water system or a public sewer system. But allowing them to use it to fix their roads or new culverts in makes a lot of sense. So the rules were changed for any town that's receiving $10 million or less, that they can use it for any provision of government service. So that changed the rules for Castleton as well.
okay,
So that's the clarity beyond that. So what the lawyer told you originally was absolutely correct.
Yeah.
But that has since changed.
Okay. One more thing. Well, hold on, Bo, just one more thing.
Oh, yeah.
How are we paying the expenses now? Where are they coming from, Mike?
Well, I made a comment that some of the stuff's have to come out of rec, or it's going to come out of the general fund, and at the end of the year, it would eat up any surplus that may be there. And if there's no surplus, then the town's put in a spot where they may have to borrow money.
That's something
I
that,
doubt this board wants to take money from the fire department reserve and the, all the reserves to pay for that building. I just know the board well enough. I don't think you'd want to go that route.
last shot. No, not Bo, it's, yeah, Sue.
Today, Oak Ridge Road. At a previous meeting, you talked about the surplus that you expect. And part of it was going to go for a new backhoe or whatever that piece of equipment was. And then there was $50,000 in surplus that was floating around. And I said, what about using that toward the rec department and toward the maintenance of the building? And I seemed to get the impression that the select board thought that was a good idea.
Well, the surplus at the end of this fiscal year, the $227,000, to use it on a specific purpose, if they wanted that would have been on the ballot. Like we have with the fire department, when you sold the old fire department and stuff like that. So money goes back into the general fund, and then it's not up to the voters at that point as a surplus to use it, or you'd have to ask permission for the voters to use it.
And therefore, if it's not the $200,000, what happens to it
So say that again.
at the end of the fiscal year? If there is that.
If there's a surplus
Surplus?
and nothing, there's no use for it, then it goes back in as revenue into the next year as revenue, and that helps reduce the tax rate, the municipal tax rate, not the school portion.
Yes, Mary Lee.
Don't
That's
shoot
okay.
me. When we have a surplus like that, why doesn't it go back to, like if it's the fire department or if it's the, why does it go to the general fund?
That's a
Why doesn't
statute.
it Go
That's
back
statute.
to wherever.
That's a statute. The only carryover is the highway department.
Yeah, and that just changed too, so towns can vote not to do that, but that's typically the only thing that carries over into another year is highway department.
That's by state statute.
Okay.
And the board has in the past done resolutions that before the fiscal year closes. So before June 30th, if say if the fire department had something they in their budget they had planned, but due to supply chain issues or vendor issues, they can't get it done, then the board is authorized to encumber that money into the next year for that purpose. So that's you've done that the last 4 or 3 of the last 5 years. So, I mean, it is that is, but that has to be done before the close of the fiscal year.
We didn't do that this year.
You did.
We did?
Yeah.
I don't remember getting the big list like we normally do.
Yeah, you did.
I thought
Okay.
the sense of the board was in the meetings that I missed, that the money would be used to stabilize the tax rate.
The 227 is after that the resolutions were made. So you have the resolutions and then there's still a $227,000 budget surplus.
And that's exactly what we're gonna do with it, Jim,
What?
is nothing.
Yeah.
Therefore, it'll roll into the,
Exactly.
and be
That's-
as
that
revenue
was-
next year.
That's the understanding I got from Mike.
Yeah, you're correct in that understanding.
Okay. Shall we
So-
move on?
Can I throw a comment out here?
Hold on, Bo, I'm not even gonna look your way.
Can I throw one thing out here which might give some of these people clarity on how this all works?
Yep, sure. Mhm.
So assuming the budget is passed, we're gonna have to raise a certain amount of money, or we're gonna have to spend a certain amount of money. And there's certain things that we already have coming in as revenue, like funds for the transfer station and bag fees or whatever. Payment in lieu of taxes from the state for state-owned land, like the state park and the university. They give us some money for that. And then some other random assorted things that, they come in as income, but the balance of that is gonna have to be raised by taxes. And let's say it's $3.2 million. And if we have a $200,000 surplus, then that number magically turns into $3 million that we have to raise by taxes. Now, so we can't really allocate any surplus to a certain thing, but what we can say is that $200,000 will help offset the budget increase that we currently have. And the $227,000 surplus was more than the budget increase. So therefore, some of that surplus is going to help pay for some of the things that were not included in the budget, which includes the CVS. Does that make sense? But you can't legally say that that 50K is going to go to CVS. That's something we can't do that legally without asking the voters' permission.
Okay, folks, can we move on? Seems like we've beat this one pretty well to death tonight. Okay, moving on to a very brief manager's report.
Are your questions?
Good, Mike.
There's copies of there if anybody ever wants to read my diatribe. Okay, just to updates so the public hears the pedestrian accessibility study. We're still waiting for the final scoping study results, but we know that our application last year finished third out of the large projects in the county, and they funded 2 of those, so we should be like near the top of the list as long as nothing changed, or somebody comes in with some super de-duper project that beats us out. But that means that the board could consider moving on with the pedestrian accessibility grant for the village area. The bike and pedestrian grant, waiting for the final plans approval, and that would be for sidewalks constructed from Castleton Corners to Parsons Hills. That's a small scale bike and ped grant that we pay 50% on. See at the bottom of page 1, grants and aid. So we hadn't picked a road yet for the grants and aid that we were given. This year it's $14,000 something. But we look back at the town's capital improvement plan for highway. I'm at the bottom of page 1, it bleeds over into page 2. But Griffin Road was on that a couple years ago, and so we have all the data on it. So, and that's the one where water was flowing out under private property, under a home and a mobile home. So it's definitely ripe for getting this fixed. So that's what we're going to use that money for. Better roads, still waiting to hear back. We briefed you on the board on West Castleton Road and Belgo Road for 2 different projects. The backhoe is in Milton, waiting for the bucket to be installed. We're just in a pecking order. No, we don't have a set date on that yet. I've got, I put on here 2 interested candidates for the roustabout. That is now 1 interested candidate in the roustabout position. Good news for bill paying, I guess. I was able to get net metering credits applied to the former village school to offset some of the electrical costs. We had solar credits in there on other meters, and it was the sunniest summer on like the last 7 years, they said, or something like that. So we are over, so we have a surplus, so we can put some of that stuff towards the former village school. Because as I told you, the electrical costs have now risen to over $1,100 a month at the village school. We took care of the sewer stuff. Over on page 4. If I turn to page 4, that'll be good. Paving. So we haven't decided yet on roads for paving. I got a meeting with the DPW director and the highway foreman this week, and start doing a little more assessing of our current situation with our roads. We do have some roads that are beyond simple shim and overlay and paving. The road, if you look at the South Street from the university to Staso Road, the shoulders are all falling off on it now. So that means the sub base underneath that is gone. If we just shim over that again, it's just going to be right back again. So that's going to be a lengthy project if we go that route, because we got to tear the whole road up right down into the sub base, put a new sub base down, probably let it set and settle, roll it and that kind of stuff, but let cars drive over it until do that ahead of the normal paving schedule, and then pave it. So the road would get shut down twice. But if we don't do it that way, we're going to just end up inheriting those problems again with the sub base being poor there.
Like what they did on Blissville Road about 10 years ago.
Yeah. There was a lot of things done that were just on the cheap, and we're paying for it again because we should be getting over 8 years for the roads. The new model is that we should be getting 10 years plus on 10 to 15 years on these roads. It's not proven that way because we're kind of taking some shortcuts. So we can try to we can't fix the past, but we can certainly fix what we do going forward. The trestle, we're still on track to get that done this year. It fell silent because of a project manager's change, and the new guy said, "Hey, here I am." And so we've re-engaged and confident that we'll have the plans back to put them out to bid. So that's done this summer.
We'll stop right there, Mike.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to do this ourselves.
What's that?
It's in kind stuff, this trestles thing.
Some of it will be in kind, but some of it, like the crane to put a new box culvert in there, there's things that we really can't do.
Okay.
So because we got the grant through the state, it allows us to hire someone instead of us trying to run a crane and things our guys aren't really versed in doing.
Okay.
If we knock down the trestle, that'd be bad too. I'm on page 5 at the bottom, Little Rutland Road. I received a phone call from Eitan Filchevsky about the water leaking into his basement. It was excavated by Kevin Egan, and I went up there, and so did the highway foreman and the DPW director. And it was away from where we did work, but what they're claiming, and Paul McClure was there too. What they're claiming is that probably when we were excavating, we probably hit that line. And it was a plastic fitting that went into the foundation and it cracked. So there's no way to prove that we did or didn't do it at this point. And I talked to Aton this morning and I asked him, I said, Aton, what are you looking for? And he said, I just want to let you know. And I haven't seen a bill and all that stuff. So we haven't gone down that road yet.
They use plastic fittings on underground?
Yep.
Shouldn't do that.
I know. And that was mentioned that it shouldn't have been done, but
Should be
it
stainless.
was been in the ground for a while. Nope, I just
need to vent $5 for more for a stainless fitting versus a plastic one is cheap insurance.
Yeah. I'm on page 8 on 6 on number D, letter D. Our roads are starting to break up early. And Brent, I'm not sure if you're still on, but one of the things that's in here, under action needed, consider posting certain roads based on recommendation of the highway foreman. So, Mr. Chairman, if you would listen to what he has to say, I'd appreciate it.
Go ahead, Brett.
He's muted, isn't he?
Yeah, you're muted. There you go.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So, Pond Hill, we were out this weekend, both days. Pond Hill up on the top between the ranch and Pontac, that went, and also Cedar Mountain Road went Sunday morning, and we were there fixing it. What I'm trying to do is if the weather cooperates in the morning when it's hard, we'll get out, get the stone in, and then we're getting off them when the sun comes out. But mud season's definitely here early, and I think this week is probably going to be a long one. I've got the paperwork from the VLCT, and what it says is the board has the authority to post a road any time of the year, pretty much for any reason you see fit. If the weather entails and the roads are going to be damaged, you guys have the right to post them. So what I'm looking for is the authority to, you guys give me the permission so I can post them as needed, because if we wait and post them in March, it's going to be too late. Long story short, I guess.
Okay, is there a motion to authorize the highway department to post the roads as needed?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion?
Yeah, one question for Brent. Define when you say a road went, what does that mean?
We had about 2-foot ruts on the top of Pond Hill. It was bad enough to where I had to level it with the grader before I could put the trucks on it. We were going to tear brake cans off.
Okay.
Any other questions?
And just for clarity, I'm sorry, is that this does not stop fuel trucks and stuff like that. No, these deliveries that have to get made for critical services, but it, like on Belleville Road and the loggers that are coming out of there, they tear the hell out of the roads. And we've had a run in with a couple in the past. Most of them have been good. One of them wasn't, and didn't care what it said. And then we have, again, 2-foot ruts, and the person that's trying to get out for an emergency is stuck in the middle of the road. So we'll work with people. And if it freezes overnight and it's firmed up, we've said in the past, hey, you got till 10 o'clock to do your business and then you're off the roads. And most people have been accommodating and worked with us on that.
Okay.
This time of year, most of the loggers, they'll call the garage and they watch the weather and they'll say, hey, you mind if we run early in the morning while it's still hard? But what this does, if we post them, at least somebody goes, tears the road up. It gives us the means to go back on them and try to recoup some of the money. Because there is some out there that don't plan ahead.
Okay, anything else? All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much, Brett. Go ahead, Mike.
All right, page 7, we did sign that TSA contract for the fingerprint terminal. I'm just waiting for an update on when it'll be delivered. It'll be on Wednesday still, the day it'll be open. At the bottom, the new Ford Interceptor is sitting outside. It was picked up on Friday. There's a appointment for the light or the siren and the radios and stuff to be installed. The stuff's in. It's all been ordered. It's in. It's just a matter of getting on there, being on that schedule.
Well, we approved that, didn't we?
You
Purchase? Because I have something here in the,
yeah, it's
the purchase of the
You purchased the car.
We approved it, yeah.
Yeah, but in a previous meeting, when Chief Mantello was here, he talked about having that shortfall because the price went up on the car.
Yep.
And there's a shortfall in what he has in his reserve to outfit the car. And he did ask the board about using proceeds from the sale of the car to be able to round that out with the rest of it going into the reserve. And he has a buyer for the sheriff's department, wants to buy it, and at fair market value. So that would allow him to pay for that delta and that he doesn't have for the equipment, and some money will go into the reserve.
Okay. You need a motion on that?
No, I'll set, thanks.
Okay, if I sign it?
Yep.
Okay.
No, you're talking about the purchase order?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
got, there's a place here to sign
Yeah,
it.
you guys had already authorized that anyway, so
We'd already approved that.
you approved that, him to buy, that's just we didn't have the invoice at the time, or,
I saw something here where it had to be signed, I thought. Well, go ahead, Mike.
Um,
I'll find it.
just for your own knowledge, that we do have a shelter manager now. John Tester from the Legion had volunteered to be our emergency shelter manager, and we went to training over in Rutland. Myself, Chief Bo, Cindy L, who's on the fire department. So that's really spurred some interest. So there's some more, there's follow-up training that we're looking at now, to be able to partner with the Red Cross should we have to open up a shelter that we can't handle and bring their resources to bear on it, especially a regional shelter. So we have a class on the 4th to the 6th of April in Massachusetts. That public information basic courses, it's a lot of different things in there, some really good stuff that we haven't been to yet. So hopefully that increases our tools in our toolbox.
Mike, can I intercede? John or the Legion is looking into getting cots and whatnot for the Legion for this purpose.
Yeah, we had 15 cots that the guard gave us, and then we ordered some more cots and blankets. We got blankets because the question was, I knew what the answer was, but I let him go ahead and wound up Chief, let him go. And at the meeting, he asked the Red Cross, "Can we get cots and blankets from you?" And they said no. They don't loan them out anymore. If there's a regional shelter need or a shelter need, we call them and they'll bring stuff. They'll help us, but they just don't give us. We just can't have this stuff and keep it in our possession forever and ever. So it's changed the difference how they do business. But we've got, if they do that, Mary Lee, that'd be awesome. I know that we just purchased power strips and some lighting and some battery powered lighting, so we should be set with right now. I think we have 20 cots and 40 blankets.
So what do we do as far as having food available? I
Good
know
question.
we have a certain amount always at the Legion where something's going to come up, whether it's a pork roast or hamburger or whatever. But if you're looking into something that your electricity's off for 3 days, is there a way of getting additional food?
Good question. And John has volunteered up that the Legion would take the lead on as the shelter. They'll pay for this stuff, and up front they got just a stock on hand, like you said. But if they need more, if there's something coming, they'll plan ahead, and the town will just have to reimburse them if we went that route. So, and there's money in our emergency management budget for those kind of things. So, but yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a really good partnership with them. And they're willing to put the effort in to man the place and do all the stuff that the shelters required to shelter. So
Sure, just give all the bookkeeping to me. What's that?
yeah, that's what they said. And I said, that's a good idea. Okay. The application, I'm on page 9, the application for the Assistance to Firefighter Grant was submitted by Lexipol. I put a copy in your mailboxes. I don't know how it ended up in your packet because I just threw it in the mailbox. But okay, somehow. But
Well, I probably put it in the.
oh, okay. I emailed it and I printed a copy out. But I'd ask that the board read what I put under action needed, and nothing, unless you have a question tonight, needs to be done, but, what I'm concerned about is if this doesn't get approved. And that grant of $269, almost $270,000 isn't approved, that our firefighters are still operating with very outdated SCBA that's becoming more and more of a maintenance. That's what if you read the narrative, that was in that, grant application is these are old, and they're three generations of NFPA guidance standards, not guidance standards, behind. So it puts the town in a possible really compromising issue should somebody get hurt using those things. If you're in the middle of firefighting in a building and the thing freezes up or locks up and they can't breathe, and there's all kinds of crazy scenarios that can happen, but just want to bring it to your attention.
What are the odds on the grant? 50-50, or I mean, what do you think?
It's because it's the number, the 269 is pretty low, in my opinion, compared to when they're asking 1.5 million for a truck, that kind of stuff. So I think we have probably a good 75% shot at this.
Okay.
Yeah, the other thing to keep in mind is it was pretty close to 20 years ago, if not 20 years ago. It was the last time we got a grant for air packs, and some of these air packs are 20 years old. Yeah. And they're not supposed to be, I think, over 10.
10 is what they're called for now. 10 is, oh no.
So would that be favorable?
Yeah, that works in our favor.
Did you get the grant?
Yeah, because some are so many outdated, and the fact we're able to document how much money we're spending on maintenance.
Perfect. Okay.
We know about the public outreach part on page 10, fire department, pancake breakfast, Gilmore's, all that good stuff. So there's just some data in there. I think you already shared it with you anyway, or somebody probably has. But great community sport event, good turnout, and certainly the community rallied.
It was just absolutely nuts. It was a wonderful kind of nuts, but it was nuts to be there, and just the people just kept coming, and they were lined up around the back of the building over to Beverage King at one point in time.
Yeah, I drove through and thought, I think I'll just give them a donation.
Yeah,
a lot of in the three local restaurants, the Bird's Eye, Castleton Diner, and Wooden Soldier, were all overwhelmed with customers as well, because people were coming to our breakfast and realized that how long the line was. So they went to another restaurant and then stopped and gave us a donation. Yeah. And went to breakfast someplace else.
It was pretty awesome.
It was the amount of goodwill and support from the other thing that I don't know if Mike mentioned it, but we started to run out of food. And local restaurants, I won't want to mention anybody because I don't want to leave anyone out, but local grocery stores and local restaurants just gave us stuff. Said, here, feed them.
I think they figured out like 18,000 eggs or something crazy.
And we didn't. There was a one point in time in there when I can't remember who helped me change the barrel, but Dan Ducharme and what's his name there? Can't remember his name. Anyways, there was two guys there cracking eggs. They never stopped. We changed the barrel, and they never even broke their rhythm. Mm-hmm. And we had a 50-gallon garbage bag full of eggshells.
There's
somebody they threw in the whole egg in there.
Yeah,
anyway,
I got of 18,000. I think we can get over that.
If you get, I'm on page 12 now, the last page. If you receive a phone call about streetscape or stuff in the village, Dave has gone down and talked to the business owner about the bricks down there and looking at their kind of dilapidated state. I'll let them handle it for now. But what the business owner said, if Mike would release, I can do work there, I'd be willing to do the work, which I have no issue with, but I think the town has some ownership in it, but we'll work that out. But at least it'll look better, hopefully, in the end, because even if the town gets a grant for that bike and pedestrian accessibility and all that, that was streetscapes part of that. We're talking 4 or 5 years away. So even if we were told here's the money, we had to put out the bid, and then Then contract, we gotta get in the contractor schedule, and we're probably still 4 to 5 years away.
Is it possible to do the work and get reimbursed from the state?
Not on that, no.
No, okay.
The town did it on their own. It wasn't anything the state did. And I made a post on Front Porch Forum about the sidewalks and all that stuff. Hopefully that answers some questions. It did. I know I received some personally, and if you did, hopefully it allowed you to echo that, or
You did a good job.
was that? It was very verbose, that's for sure, right? And just long post, but I couldn't make it shorter and try to explain it.
No,
I thought you did a super job.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
Thank you. Barring your questions on that,
You did it.
barring your questions to the board, that's.
Any questions from the board?
Not on that, but I got a question for him. How'd you make out in Pennsylvania on the fire truck?
Oh, sorry, thank you. It's in there. I read it too and I forgot. We're leaving Thursday to go out there to meet the rep from the fire company. I forgot their name, honestly. Sorry. Jim Davis is the owner's name, but I can't remember the name of his company. But they're meeting us in Allegheny County to look at this fire truck. So I'm driving out on Thursday with Heath, Dan Ducharme, and Joe Smith to look at it, and we're going to be there Thursday. This guy's going to look at the truck. He's a fireman, truck mechanic. They're looking at the truck, all the maintenance records. We're going to test it all out. They're going to show us how it works, let us run it, operate it, and we're coming back on Friday.
Where in Pennsylvania is this?
Just outside of Pittsburgh.
It's just west of Pittsburgh. It's Franklin, not Franklin. I don't have it in front
So
of me.
you're almost to Ohio.
Yeah,
Pretty close.
It's literally like
Western part, yeah.
it's literally like 10 miles from the river on the west side of Pittsburgh. So we're driving the school bus out, the big blue Ford F-250.
Make sure you clarify that it's not a school bus.
Yeah.
It's, it's the long truck.
We call it that because it's so big it takes forever to turn that thing around.
It's got a long wheelbase.
Yes, it does.
So
Any other questions for Mike? None. Thank you, Mike.
you're welcome, Jim.
Move on to the purchase orders. We have two.
Make a motion, we approve purchase order number 049696 to Richard Pontello for reimbursement for his backup valve on a sewer line for the sum of $1,096.44.
I'll second it.
A second discussion?
Just got a question. Oh, go ahead. No,
Nope, go ahead.
oh, come on.
I just want to say this is coming out of the sewer department's budget. So that's
Okay, this isn't the first one we've seen. Maybe on a, what is the issue? Is there houses out there that don't have these backflow? And is that our responsibility?
but when an insurance claim is made and they give them the money from the insurance claim, they give them the money for the backflow preventer so it doesn't happen again. But so they don't do it they don't give everybody the money. It's just part of their protocol. If there's a backup in that home, they're proving that it backs up in there. So they make them put the backflow preventer on.
But at our cost.
Well, we approved this last meeting or 2 meetings ago. Remember, Mr. Pontello gave his pitch and we actually approved it. I don't recall which way you voted. However, the background is it was the bill to get cleaned up from the sewer backup was $17,000. The insurance company paid 10. He paid 7. In addition to that, he's threw $1,700 at his, or $1,000, $1,100 at his backflow preventer and wanted us to reimburse him for that. So we agreed to do that.
He paid
He's
7 out
paying-
of his pocket.
He's paid $7,000 out of his pocket. And we agreed to pay for the backflow preventer.
Okay, that doesn't really answer my question. So when are you gonna pay for a backflow preventer for my house?
If you have a backup, then and there's an insurance claim, they'll pay for it.
So after the fact?
Yeah.
No, they won't pay for it. You're gonna pay for it. That's what we're doing right here.
Yeah, so in this case, it was $22,000, right? So he had $22,000 in damages. Our insurance company said, we cover, it's no fault insurance. There's only $10,000 for the whole year. They said, he's the only claim. So here you go. There's your $10,000. And part of that, they said, you have to put the backflow preventer. So part of that was the backflow preventer. He paid his insurance company paid 5,000. So now we're up to 10,000 or 15,000.
That's what it
He
said.
paid 7,000 of the remaining balance, and he asked, could you guys at least cover part of it? So really, the backflow preventer, we're not really paying for the backflow preventer. We're paying, he has to recover some cost out of the 7,000 something he did. And because we have $1,000 deductible, it about covers that. So we put backflow preventer on.
Yeah, I just.
Yep.
You know where I'm going with this.
They only.
I don't understand, well, when the systems are put in, why isn't the backflow preventer put in? So we don't keep going through this.
What's on their, it's not ours. It's truly on their side. So
it's their fault for not putting it in.
Well, anybody's fault, I guess, or not. If you did put one in, but the sewer system's not supposed to back up. This happened twice on this one guy.
Yeah, I know. I'm not arguing this particular thing. I'm trying to avoid it down the line.
I have to look at it. I don't know on Raylan's, on Wanger Raylan's place. They paid him. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at it, see if the backflow preventer was in there. I don't think so because, well, that one, it did back up, but that's because a tree grew into the line, and that's our fault. So we didn't maintain and keep the vegetation out the top of the sewer lines.
Okay. I won't push it, but we had another one up on Route 32 that I don't know if we ended up paying for or not.
No,
We did not.
no.
All right. It just doesn't make any sense to me. We just keep.
Well, that guy already had a backflow preventer put on, and they paid for his.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions on this purchase order?
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I had Dick made the motion. I'm not sure if there was a
Need a
second.
motion? Do we have a second?
I think I seconded it.
Any other discussion?
We'll take it.
Okay.
All those in favor? Keep by
Mary
point-
Lee seconded.
Okay, thank you. Okay. You say aye yet?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
I didn't ask,
Sure.
but now I am. Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Make a motion, we approve purchase order number 049531 to Allegiance Trucks for an exhaust emissions repair on a 2013 dump truck for $2,994.86.
And I'll second it for discussion again.
Discussion.
You ready?
Yep.
Was this fixed on site or did your truck have to be taken to them, Mike?
It looks like that one at Hoosick.
They went to use it?
Yeah, just, hey, Brent, you're on there. I'm guessing on that one. I'm assuming that went down to Dolores. Or,
Yep, that had to go. That's the same truck that's been down there, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 times in the year and a half I've been here. Constant emissions problems.
Did you guys drive it down or did you have to trailer it down, Brent?
No, we were able to drive it this time, but we had to stop multiple times, and at some points only doing 20 miles an hour because it cut the power. And then the time before we sent it, we had to send it on the hook.
Okay. All right, that's all.
That's all?
Yeah.
Any other questions on this one?
Mr. Chairman, I think the board will be shocked when we talk about the next truck.
The next what?
When it comes before the board for the next truck.
Next truck.
Because this all has to be figured into. Yeah, it's on their plan. We're bringing stuff all the way down there to be worked on, and there's places closer that can do it. So.
Why are we going down there?
Because it's the only one, they work on it down there because of those damn internationals.
Can I chime in, Mike?
No. No, go ahead.
So the reason that has to go all the way down there is because nobody wants to work on Navistar motors. That's why a lot of towns aren't buying international anymore. Navistars are it's ruined the international truck and nobody wants to work on them. So you got to take them to a dealer. For us, the closest dealer is to go all the way down to Hoosick.
Okay. Any other discussion of this? Did we have a motion in a second?
We did.
We did.
That's Hoosick Falls, New York.
Pardon?
Yeah.
We'll call the motion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, now we're on to the warrants.
Make a motion, we approve warrant number 0209R for $39,770. Warrant 0126 for $6,138.91. Warrant 0131 for $2,963.29. Warrant 0202 for $5,000 $520.75. Warrant 0209 for $20,998.17. Warrant 0213 for $460,239.82. Warrant 0216P for $16,668.86. Warrant 0202P for $15,847.45. And warrant 0209P for $15,241.40.
I'll second
And
that.
a second. Any discussion of the warrants? These warrants? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Warrants are approved. Here you go, Dick. You're closest. I'll get it back and I'll give it. We have two other warrants here too.
Three.
Three.
Make a motion to approve warrant 0127P for $612.54. Warrant 0203P for $612.53. 0210P for $612.53.
I'll second.
A second. Any discussion?
Recuse myself.
Include yourself. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Should have a total of 12.
There's half of them if you want to hand them down, Jim.
I will.
Or so. Approximately half.
There you go, Bob.
Okay, thank you. Yep, okay.
Well, 11 months from now, we won't have to do that part.
Right. Oh.
You're
That's gonna get away.
No.
More one was canceled
I'm
now.
not surprised. I took Dave's hand for that. That was well.
Oh, yeah.
Did you actually, you must have read through this thing. It was pretty well done, I thought.
I thought so too.
Pretty compelling argument.
Well done. Yep.
We are actually on there as part of it, I believe, if I read this correctly.
Yes.
And everything we want to talk about that in an executive session. I think we should briefly. Shouldn't take 5 minutes.
Yeah, I've got copies here too. I think I handed them out. Right?
Yeah.
That's all there.
I don't know.
Should be a dozen.
Could you be able to?
Here, Dick, would you pass that one?
I got
After
that
that file.
That
That wasn't in the packet.
Got 12 here, Bob, or
I didn't count them.
we'll get in trouble if we don't.
Oh, you'll get in trouble.
We've
I
already
know.
seen this once, but yes, it's good to have a fresh copy.
Just to refresh your memory.
More paperwork.
Something to read.
Okay.
Probably ought to keep one for Joe's mailbox.
Oh, I've got this already.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, I didn't know if you had it tonight with you, so
Okay.
I did want to talk to the board in executive session.
There's
I'll give those to Mike. Throw one in Joe's mailbox.
You didn't get that?
Just for the hell of it.
Yeah, thank you. Everybody's got a copy of the other one, right, though?
Which one?
The one from How and How. We can share them.
I have more copies here, so I thought I handed them out.
Did you send this to by email to us?
It was it was a long time ago. That's probably like 2 meetings ago, I bet. What was the date on it? Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah, we saw that back in sometime in December.
Oh, okay, this isn't the one we got in our packets, though. We had one in our packets.
Yeah.
About the recent action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally think we should have a brief conversation about that,
Yeah, we need to.
but I don't believe that should be executive session.
I got a question for Mike before we go into executive session.
Okay, follow up,
Gotta do
select board's comments and concerns. Mary Lee?
I already asked mine. I was wondering why overruns didn't go back to where it overran from. I already got my answer.
Okay, Bob?
Are you gonna assign the articles that we have to be responsible for at the town meeting? When are you gonna do that?
Not tonight.
Oh, Jesus, you told me that at the last meeting.
Okay, I don't have them with me, that's why.
You have them assigned?
At the town office, I wrote them down because we try to keep, like, Joe can't do the library and stuff like that, so yeah.
Just put them in our mailbox.
But I did have a question though, is like some of these articles, like the school one, is that those aren't, I didn't put those part of those, it's not normal ones?
No.
So is there gonna be somebody assigned to talk about that?
No, the Castleton Village School?
You are. You know more about it than we do.
Well, if they ask for decisions, I can't do that part.
Oh, okay.
Well, during the informational meeting, the public can ask questions. And
Sure.
we can give them our,
So just leave it to the board,
Opinions
board, then
and-
don't sign
Those
this.
other ones, yeah.
and then if you
Tell you what, I'll-
choose to answer a question or not is entirely at your discretion.
On the appropriations, you mean? Yeah.
Right.
I kind of need to
Now,
know.
if like, for instance,
I mean,
you're,
no, I'll email it to you tomorrow and then everybody can feedback if they said, oh, I can't talk about that one because they
Okay.
have a conflict.
I think somebody's going to talk to me about what this is all about.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, Mary Lee. Okay.
Is the 50 articles, we each get 10 articles.
Well, that's nice, but I don't know anything about the sewer. You're gonna give me the.
Sewer's not on.
if it means that much to you, I guess it'd be
That's why I
okay,
asked
but I'm not
you.
really into that kind
Instead
of.
of him giving us the night of the meeting, you got no.
you normally give you ahead of time, so they have time to go meet with department heads or whoever to ask questions.
If you need to.
But I'll do it tomorrow. I'll email tomorrow. I did, and I forgot it tonight, so thanks for busting me on that one, Bob.
Oh, yeah. Well, at least I didn't do it in front of everybody that was here.
No, you're good. I don't
I was
care.
gonna.
The whole world is here.
Well, yeah, there is some up there too, yeah.
The whole world.
Might be, that might, that
Oh,
that's the
balloon that
internet.
went down might have that information, Bob.
That's true.
That's
true.
Yeah, I made a note. I'll email tomorrow.
I actually have some.
Any other, questions or?
I just have
concerns?
one.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that everyone on the board is aware that the university governance, whatever that is, I can't remember the name of the outfit that runs Vermont State University now, which Castleton is part of, has decided to close all the college campus, not really close. Let me rephrase that. They've decided to digitize all the books with the exception of special collections. I'm not sure what that means. I think maybe the Ethan Allen room will stay at Castleton, but I'm not sure about that. But basically all the books will be removed from the buildings and the buildings will be repurposed. And I just personally have a problem with that, but whether I have a problem with it or not, I just want the rest of the board to be aware of it. And the only thing I'll say is that some of the data they used to make this decision, I think might have been a little bit flawed in as much as they only looked at books being checked out to calculate library usage, as opposed to people going in the library to use it without checking a book out. So I just think that this is premature and short-sighted and not the benefit of either this community or that campus.
I agree with you. Most colleges, when I was taking my grandchildren out to check colleges, their library was the thing that sold the college. Like, my granddaughter went to Vassar and thought, oh, this is wonderful. Then she went to Yale and whatnot. I mean, it's all around the library.
I think this is an unfortunate decision, and I'm not sure what, if anything, can be done to change their governing body's mind. But, I already sent a email to our congressional, or not congressional, legislative members. Martha Molnar put an excellent article in Front Porch Forum today that I recommend you read.
I saw that too.
And, there's some links there that will help you start to make the appropriate noise. Once again, I have no idea if it'll do any good, but I strongly suggest that we all do that if we can. So that's all I got, Jim.
Want to make a motion to that effect?
No,
Okay,
I don't see that where the board, we can't do anything as a board.
why not?
What can we do?
We can let the Vermont State College Boards of Trustees know that we have concerns over. it.
Put a letter together and.
Why, sure.
Then I'll certainly make a motion that the chairman sends a letter to the state university asking them to reconsider their decision.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there a second? Is there discussion?
I'd like to have everybody sign it, though, not just Mr. Lamy.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
I will amend my motion to reflect that.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm sure Mr. Mark would feel, I don't think he would choose to disagree with me on this one, but I can't speak for Joe, but I really doubt he would disagree.
any other, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We'll draft the letter for your consideration.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that
You're
effort.
welcome.
Absolutely.
Liz. Hopefully, we're getting close, Liz. Sure. Go ahead.
Sorry, I apologize. I thought for some reason that you were going to be voting on the town plan. I didn't know I was supposed to actually say something. So I apologize. I wasn't prepared.
That's okay.
So I just wanted to just do a little quick, it'll be very quick, but just quick history on why we decided to do the enhancements on the town plan. And it came about in 2021 when there was the large solar that is still going on, you know, the 2.2 megawatt solar project. And also it came about with the wind turbine project that was also proposed in 2021. So during that time, we had some citizens come to one of our meetings and they spoke to us about needing to strengthen our town plan in order to protect areas of the town. And they talked about an enhanced energy plan. And Jonas let us know that that had been in the works about maybe 2 years prior to that, but it was too complicated. It just didn't work out. So we spoke to the Rutland Regional Planning Commission, and they recommended and said that other towns were adding this enhancements to their town plan, and that worked very well, and it worked almost as well as an energy plan. And that for Castleton, that it probably would work quite well. So that was how we decided to come about making these amendments. We needed to do it pretty quickly. Unfortunately, it hasn't been too quick, but that was in 2021. We had about 10 different meetings where we discussed the enhancements that we would do to the town plan. And we also discussed it with a nonprofit organization to do with energy. And that's how we ended up having the document that you got with all the additions, and then we had the town, the public hearing. So that was why it wasn't like just an overnight thing. It was a progression. I just wanted you to know that.
Okay,
Got one quick question for you.
sure.
Is it true that those solar things are a certain size? We have no control.
Yes, that is.
What is that? You
I
know,
believe it's over 500. That one is a 2.2 megawatt, and I think once it goes over whatever the number, I have to go back to my notes, whatever 500, whatever kilo.
Yeah, 500 kilowatts.
Once it goes over that, it's out of like the town. The state makes all the decisions. We can still, we just, you know, we did a series of different things, and we tried to slow it down in every way possible. So that's why it's been going on for a while.
thank you.
Yeah, the one over by the Rutland Marble and Granite is at the Public Service Board now, I believe.
Yes, it is. That's the stone mill.
There's
And
no stopping it.
that's pretty good size array.
Okay. Anything else on select board concerns? If-
Chairman, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. So is this gonna go back on the agenda for the 27th of February?
Yes.
One quick thing, any movement on that light down there? Has it been fixed?
No, I saw it again last night. I'm like, so I haven't called today, but I did notice it hasn't been done yet.
Okay.
I did call.
You called a couple, 3 times.
Eric, whatever, Pulaski,
They,
making a note.
Okay. Is there any need for an executive session?
Yes.
Okay. What's it
Same
involve?
one was for real estate and one was for personnel.
I wanted one for real estate, and it could be the same topic as Mike wants to have one for
It
real
is.
estate.
Yeah, it's the same.
That,
So
that this?
we'll do that one first.
Okay.
I make a motion, we go into real estate, into executive session for real estate with the town manager and the board at 9:13.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Not all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 I'm gonna put you in, the waiting room, Allison.
Good night.
Right.
So, night, ladies.
Where's Peg TV?
They've been having
Make a motion, we come out of executive session with no action taken at 9:33.
Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
I will make a motion that we direct the town manager to write a letter of response to Hubbard's attorney concerning a real estate matter.
Okay,
I'll second that.
everybody be able to figure that out. Is that okay with everybody? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there another motion?
Yeah, we need to make a motion to go into executive session for personnel at
Forgot about that.
9:34 with the board and the town manager.
I'll second it.
Second. All those in favor going into executive session, personnel item? If the town manager indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? We're in executive session.
Make a motion, we come out of executive session at 9:48 with no action taken.
I'll second it.
Second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there another motion?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that.
All those in favor of adjourning indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.